Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salam alayhi Rasulillah. So I just got done listening to one of my teachers, and as I was listening to him, he made a very profound statement. And he was talking about changing as a Muslim. When one takes their shahada, when one says La ilaha illallah anna Muhammadar Rasulullah, he said something and it really affected me. And he was talking about significant changes, not practices, significant changes. Because it is easy to practice something. It is easy to practice something. You know how we are in Islam, where we put, we are real heavy on the right. You put your right shoe on first, you take your left shoe off first, things of that nature. When you walk in your house, you step in with the right foot first, stuff like that. Stuff that is very easily to practice. What he was explaining is that it's a difference between change and practice. And the basis of where he was going at with the topic is that a lot of us who accept La ilaha illallah anna Muhammadar Rasulullah, who become Muslims, some of us, or a lot of us, don't want to accept the change. We don't want to accept the change. We are not ready to change. And some of us, or a lot of us, has been Muslims for 5 and 10 years and even longer, and is still doing the same thing that we was doing before we became Muslims. All because we don't want to accept change. We do not want to make a significant change. We want to practice certain things. We pick out certain things that we want to practice, but we do not want to make significant changes. Meaning change your habits, change your thinking process, your thought pattern, change the way you speak, change the way you act. Just change everything about you step by step now that you are a Muslim. And I think that is very important when it comes to Islam. We want to practice certain things, certain hadiths, of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but we still want to hold on to the old things or the old habits that we was doing before we became Muslim. We want practice, but we don't want change. And some of us, that's why it's so hard to practice Islam, because for some of us, we feel like, oh, Islam is hard to practice. Islam is this. Oh, I can't do that. I can't do this. The reason why we are having trouble practicing Islam is because we do not want to make significant changes. We make Islam hard. We make practicing Islam hard. We make making five prayers a day hard. We make reading the Quran hard. We make studying hard. All because we want to hold on to the old self. We want to hold on to the worldly self. And so it's like your spiritual life is conflicting with your worldly life, your physical life. See, we're trying to balance, or we're trying to practice or do spiritual and worldly. And we can't do that. We want to do more worldly than we do spiritual. And that's why some of us, when years have passed by and we have been Muslim 5 and 10 years, that's why we feel that we haven't changed. It is not that Islam can't change you, it's that you have to put in the efforts for Islam to change you. As Allah says in the Quran, I would not change the condition of a people until they first change within themselves. You have to want change. It's easy to practice something that's Islamic. It's easy to practice doing certain thing that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam did. It's easy to practice a certain thing that you choose to practice. But what's the use of practicing that thing, but you're not making no significant changes? And that's why we feel so empty as Muslims. We feel like we're doing some work, but we're not getting no results. And the reason why we're not getting no results is because we're not making the changes to get the results. It's just like having a whole shelves of books, but not reading them. It's just like having a shelf full of books and not reading them. You got the books, you got the knowledge, you got the information that you need, but unless you make the change to put in the time to read and study, the books are not doing you any good. So it's the same thing when it comes to Islam. You got the truth. You got the Quran, you got the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You got the proper books to learn Islam. You got the books about the scholars and things of that nature. But you will feel empty if you're not putting in the time to read and study. And so you would just be Muslim who is not practicing. Because you're not feeding yourself what you need in order for you to fulfill yourself spiritually. So yeah, you have one hadith that you practice when it comes to mannerism, or you practice a certain thing when it comes to, certain hadiths. But you're still not feeling anything from it because you're not making the effort to make significant change. And so as one of my teachers, as he was saying, it's all about making significant changes. It's all about making significant changes. And it really stuck with me, because it's something as for myself, it's something that I have struggled with over the years. And it's something that I know that I must continually work on myself for. That's why my main teacher, he always stresses the saying of Jahid to Shahid. Struggle and you shall witness. Struggle and you shall witness. Making significant changes about yourself to be a better person, to be a better Muslim, to be a better servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to be a better follower of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is all a struggle. It is not something that you can just put in the microwave, put it on a few minutes, and then all of a sudden you just this brand new man, you just this brand new woman, you just the most striving Muslim brother it is, or the most striving Muslim sister it is. Making changes about yourself to better yourself is a process. It is a process. It's not something that's gonna happen overnight. But when you understand the saying of Jahid to Shahid, struggle and you shall witness, it is a everyday struggle. It is a everyday challenge. It is something that we must do day by day. Each day that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses us with life, health, and strength, make it your best to be a better you for that day. And then it goes on to the next day, and then the next day, and then the next day. And at the end, you will witness all the work that you done put in, all the sacrifices, all the time that you done put in of changing, all the times you had to say no, and all the times you had to sacrifice time with family and friends and even children, husband and wife. At the end of the tunnel, you will witness the work and the sacrifices of what you put in, because you decided to make a significant change about yourself, to better yourself as a person, to better yourself as a Muslim. And as you will hear certain people say, when you get knocked down, get back up. When you slip, keep going. Dust yourself off and keep going. And as my teacher say, we are not perfect, but don't let that be an excuse for you to strive for perfection. No one is perfect, but do not let that be an excuse for you to strive for perfection. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Barakallahu bikum.